Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We are continuing our reading of the Fatwas of Imam al Albani regarding fiqh, creed, and transactions. It's been quite educational. It's a thinner book, but we're halfway through. And I've learned quite a lot, and I do enjoy reading what the scholars have written. There's lots of scholars in the world. So we can definitely have a smorgasbord of knowledge to dissect. This question, reminder, in case you're new to the series, is question and answer format. And the question here is, why is Salafiyya called as such? Is it considered a party, a group, a school of thought, or a new movement in Islam? So educational. Let's see what he says. The word as-salaf, predecessor, is literally known in the Arabic language and in the religion as well. What is important here is it is a religious significance. It is affirmed that the Prophet ﷺ said on his deathbed to Fatima radiallahu anha, "Beware of Allah and have patience. Indeed, I am a good salaf, predecessor for you." Narrated by Muslim. Scholars use this word frequently, especially when fighting innovations in religion and innovators. They say, indeed, every good is in following the salaf, while every evil is in the innovators of the khalaf. I wonder if that's poetry, because I've been doing more poetry, but I've been putting in some more Arabic words in there, level up, be a little Muslim poet. But I like that. So here we're seeing salaf, hinting at predecessor. Okay? We're seeing bida. Oops, I actually left out left out my spelling on that one. But innovation. Bida. Innovation. So, as reverts, we need to keep an eye out for innovations. Christians did a lot of innovation. I was having a discussion with a Christian about Santa Claus. And Christians are adamant because there's so much nostalgia in old-fashioned Christmas. I had the best Christmases as a child. Snow, lights. My grandpa used to do Santa Claus. He had a natural beard. He literally looks like Santa. I mean, my grandma made the most beautiful trees. You could just sit in the night and stare at it. Candy canes, gingerbread houses. I'm talking so much nostalgia, right? But it is not Christian. It's Nordic and pagan. Okay? And there is in the Bible a verse about don't bring your tree in your house like the pagans do. I've shared it so many times, but I haven't memorized it. But it isn't a Christian holiday. Now it got fused with it. Coca-Cola came in with the polar bear and Santa. Krampus is another version of Santa who's more mean, punishes children. There's so much on that topic. But innovation, they innovated. Easter Bunny, fertility, those rabbits are crazy. They literally breed too fast. Eggs, multiple children. And if you're a farmer, sometimes your chickens lay eggs in the weirdest places and you gotta go find it. So it's, chickens ain't making as many chicks in the winter as they are in the spring. So you're like, hey, what's going on here? So there's a lot you could say about it. But regardless, innovation has happened, right? Valentine's Day, especially. Alright? And so here we are seeing an example of when you say the word as-salaf, predecessor, we're really looking out for innovation, right? And there is a lot of that, especially with reformist progressive liberals. Many of those who claim to have knowledge claim that this word has no basis, i.e. is newly invented, and say, a Muslim must not say, I am Salafi, This leads to the saying that a Muslim must not say that he follows the righteous predecessors' way in belief, worship, and behavior. I see his point, but I think there's some interesting distinctions here. Because I've heard Sheikh Asim al-Hakim say, I'm paraphrasing, I've seen several clips on how he handles the Salafiyya thing. You could simply just say I'm Muslim. But some people really want to double down and differentiate themselves from all the different sects. Some say that Salafiyya isn't a sect. Some say it's the rightly guided sect. Okay? But others worry about the UK factions who argue in Speaker's Corner and who are involved in gangs and selling drugs, that they use that term Salafiyya and they've ruined that term, right? So some people don't want to identify as Salafi because it gets linked up with bad behavior, not as noble behavior that seeks to get rid of innovation. And so many Salafi people are anti-intellectuals. They harass people who study different things. Their behavior is horrible sometimes. There's a lot that could be said. So people are becoming weary. You know, they do a lot of takfir on people. So it's the behavior of the UK Muslims specifically who have made people have this aversion towards using that label when they shouldn't be, right? A lot of their infighting as well. They go Salafi, Ihwani, Wahhabi, like they like all these different names, and they're like, you are this and you are that. You know, they spend a lot of time infighting and doing purity tests and takfiring people. So he's pointing out here, from what I'm getting, is that he's taking like the etymology of the word. It's that he contends it's simply just saying you follow the Salaf, the rightly guided caliphs, the Tabi'een, you know, stuff like that, the Prophet, peace be upon him, and you try to stick to the Quran and Sunnah, right? So there's some that word, that label in and of itself is a noble word, but unfortunately that word is getting stuck on people who are giving a bad name to it. You know, I'd argue. This denial, if it is truly meant, leads to being free from true Islam, which the religious predecessors believed, and above them all the Prophet ﷺ. It is narrated in the two Sahihs and in other books of Sunnah traditions that the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of people are my generation, then those who follow them, then those who follow them. A Muslim, therefore, must be free from any other way other than that of the righteous predecessors. So here we're learning, you know, what our goal is. And then the scholars, from my understanding, you look at, they try to see a modern situation. What kind of world are we living in? How do you do the jurisprudence when this is the context, right? And then they give fatwas and try to guide as best as we can, right? But you try to do your best. Those who deny using this word, do they not themselves claim to be members of other sects? Whether these are sects related to the belief of fiqh, such as an Ash'ari, a Maturidi, or he may be of Ahl al-Hadith, or a Hanafi, or a Shafi'i, or a Maliki, or a Hanbali, or other schools of thought, which are from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, those who associate themselves with the Ash'ari school, or any other creedal school, have in reality associated themselves with something fallible, even if they are scholars who claim that it is the correct creedal school of thought. However, the one who ascribes to the Salaf as-Salih, their righteous predecessors, has truly associated himself generally with that which has infallibility. I see. So Salaf as-Salih, he contends that's something that is more reliable, less fallible. He names some schools of thought here, which are from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah: Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanafi, Hanbali. Then he talked about Ashari, Maturidi, Ahl al Hadith. Okay, so those are the four top schools, right? I don't know the difference between them yet. That's why it's important for us as reverts to keep studying, keep learning. But it appears that he says if people can identify themselves as that, then there's no problem for using the term Salafi. It's interesting, because you can get overwhelmed with the sectarian stuff like, which way do you go as a revert, left or right? That's why I chose to just go with the hadith, even though people attacked me heavily. They attacked me, slandered me, said terrible things. Muslims, right? And I just said, you know what, the hadith, I'm going to read them, learn from that, then go on to this other topics, study Tawheed, look at Uthaymin, Bin Baz, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, and then I'll have a couple other books. I read Nahjul Balagha of the Shia, got to Hamza Yusuf's book, Hamza Sortz's book, The Divine Reality. I have Muhammad bin Hanbal, Ahmad bin Hanbal, had The Fortress of the Muslims. I got other books that we're going to put on the channel, but I already have them stocked up, ready. Imam Nawawi, I have quite a few that we have ready for the channel. But I started with the classic names that were identifiable. This book too, right? Imam al Albani. So starting with the names that are well known, learning the terminology, because they are good teachers who at least will teach you the terminology, and then going into the trenches on the different schools of thought, right? Everyone has their own journey though, where they want to start. So if you want to start learning about Shafi'i and all that, sure, go ahead. Who am I to tell you which way to go? And different students have different strengths. But I did find it interesting how he brought that up. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that one of the hallmarks of the Firqa an-Najiyah, the saved sects, is that it holds firm to the way of the Prophet ﷺ. I see, yes. So the closer you are to the Quran and Sunnah, the better. And indeed, the one who holds firm to them has been guided by Allah. One is honored indeed to be associated with the Salaf, the righteous predecessors, who are the Firqa an-Najiyah, the safe sect. So he contends here then, from what I get from this, is that the Salaf are righteous predecessors and they are honored. Therefore, if you call yourself a Salafi, it means you're trying to stick to the Quran and Sunnah. You're trying to be as close as you can to how they were, and that, it's okay to call yourself that because it's not a dirty word. It's something that just shows you're trying to be as close as you can to authentic knowledge and to stay away from bid'ah. Right? None will have this privilege except those who associate themselves with the way of the Salaf, which is infallible and to which we were instructed to adhere. But why? The reason rests on two grounds. Okay. Let's see. So this would be a good spot to pause because he's going to go into a longer one. Now let's take this moment. Yeah, he'll go into... Yeah, we definitely don't want to have it bleed over and cut off in an awkward spot. But essentially, he contends we can call ourselves that, because the word in of itself is a Salaf predecessor. So he's going with how the Arabic language uses the word and how the religion uses the word. So this is important for us when we are looking at the behavior of some Muslims who maybe are not doing the best they can, and they get caught up in street violence and gang activity. I believe they have a problem with spubs. I've heard that because they do boycotts in other Muslims, and some have said their masjids, like, if brothers want to hug, they'll like, hey, greet you. They'll be like, oh, the Salaf didn't do that, so you can't do that. So it seems very unwelcoming, nitpicking, But that could just be gossip. It could just be that particular masjid, a group of brothers. But one can become endeared with being as authentic as possible without just being someone who points out the fault in everything, without providing a proper alternative, right? What do you think? It's a tense conversation, I know. The four schools, man. A whole nother topic. I don't know if there's any books that have just like, this is all the Maliki school, this is all the Shafi'i school, this is all the Hanafi school. But we'll have to go on an adventure and find that. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there.